Dive Podcast, straight talk on politics, national security, and America's future. With Robert Johnson and Linda Miller, we cut through the spin, tackle the tough issues, and give you the real story behind today's headlines. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell to stay informed. Welcome to this deep dive. We're looking through a whole set of reports today, all really centered around potential peace talks, and how things are developing between Russia and Ukraine.
Exactly. And our focus today really is pulling out the key details from what Russian officials have been saying lately. Things like their conditions for peace, where things stand on, well, any possible meeting between the presidents, and also the reactions to all this talk about long-range weapons.
Yeah, our goal is to give you a clear picture of the current landscape. We want to distill the main info without, overwhelming you with every single piece. Okay, so let's start with Russia's stated peace conditions. There's word from a high-ranking Russian source that Russian President Putin is ready for peace, but, well, not just on any terms.
That's right. And what's quite striking is how firm these conditions seem to be. A really key demand is this written guarantee from the West, a guarantee against NATO expanding further east, specifically mentioning Ukraine, but also Georgia and Moldova. It really hits at a core Russian security concern.
Right, that NATO point seems absolutely central. And alongside that, there are other things on the table.
Oh, yes. Things like Ukraine adopting a neutral status, getting rid of certain Western sanctions, sorting out the whole frozen assets issue, and also protection for Russian-speaking residents in Ukraine. It's quite a list.
It really is. And the territorial demands, those seem to have shifted a bit, or hardened.
They certainly seem to have hardened. The reports suggest Moscow is now insisting on full control of the DNR and LNR, that's Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, and Zaporizhia and Kherson regions, too.
Right, the regions they've claimed.
Exactly. And importantly, this includes areas they don't actually control completely right now. So even with sanctions and economic pressures, the message seems to be that Russia feels it can, well, keep up military operations for years if needed to get those territories.
That long-term perspective is something. And Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, he's also emphasized something specific.
Yes, Ukraine's non-nuclear status. He framed it as a crucial demand. He even referenced Ukraine's 1991 independence declaration, pointing out it proclaimed a neutral, non-aligned, and non-nuclear status. A status, he noted, that Russia and others recognized back then.
Ah, okay. So bringing history into it, suggesting it's about returning to a previous understanding.
Sort of, yes. And Lavrov apparently also said these current conditions line up with what was discussed way back in April 2022 in Istanbul.
So potentially using Istanbul as a benchmark for talks.
It seems like a possible reference point, yes.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What about the chance of an actual meeting between Russian President Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky? Is that on the cards at all?
Well, according to the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, a meeting like that, a top-level one, is only possible after the negotiating teams nail down some agreements. They need to reach agreements, review draft memorandums, that sort of thing. So it really depends on progress lower down the chain first.
Got it. So no immediate summit then. But Peskov did hint that these draft memorandums might be ready soon.
He did mention that, yes. That drafts from both sides could lead to the next round of talks. So it sounds like a procedural step might be close.
Suggests the diplomatic track isn't completely stalled, even if it's slow.
It does. Though it's worth remembering Ukraine's foreign ministry had previously talked about maybe a different kind of meeting, something maybe in an expanded format, possibly involving U.S. President Trump, maybe a European representative.
Right. President Zelensky had also suggested a trilateral meeting, hadn't he? While also pushing the U.S. for more sanctions.
Exactly. So different ideas floating around about what that high-level contact could look like.
But then there's this disconnect. Russia apparently saying Kyiv hasn't even received their settlement proposal yet.
Yes, that was mentioned. It does highlight potential communication issues or maybe just different timelines being worked too.
But Lavrov did say we'd hear about the next round of talks soon.
He did announce that the date for the next Russia-Ukraine negotiation round would be revealed very soon. So we should expect some news there.
And then there was Vladimir Medinsky contacting Ukraine's defense minister, Rustem Umerov. What was that about?
Medinsky apparently reported calling Umerov to propose a specific date and place. The idea being to exchange these memorandums that outline ceasefire conditions. He stressed Russia was ready to immediately get into substantive talks on every point of a comprehensive agreement.
Okay, so a direct proposal from the Russian side to get the ball rolling on specifics.
It sounds like it. But Medinsky also noted the Ukrainian side needed to consult first, and that Russia was waiting for confirmation to meet in the coming days. So that specific exchange seems to hang on Ukraine's response for now.
Right, makes sense. It just shows how even getting the preliminary steps agreed upon takes time and, well, agreement.
Precisely.
Okay, let's turn to the last main point, the reactions around long-range weapons for Ukraine. This has definitely stirred things up.
It really has. Peskov, the Kremlin spokesperson, used some very strong language. He called statements by German Chancellor Friedrich Merz about lifting range restrictions a provocation of war.
That's unambiguous. And what exactly did Merz claim?
Merz had claimed that Germany, the UK, France, and the US no longer have range limits on weapons they give Ukraine, and that this decision was made months ago.
Wow, that's a big claim. If true.
If true, yes. But it seems there's some contradiction, or at least lack of confirmation. German Vice Chancellor Lars Klingbeil apparently indicated Germany's policy on long-range missiles hasn't changed.
Oh.
And the U.S. State Department also didn't confirm any lifting of restrictions, so it throws Merz's initial statement into question a bit.
Right. Creates quite a bit of uncertainty there. And it's worth remembering, isn't it, that Germany hasn't actually sent long-range missiles like the Taurus yet.
That's a very important point. Germany has Taurus missiles in its arsenal, but despite discussion and some pressure, they haven't been supplied to Ukraine.
Even though Merz himself seems somewhat supportive of sending them earlier.
He did advocate for it previously, yes, but more recently, reports suggest he's been, let's say, less direct when asked about providing Taurus.
And after meeting President Zelensky in Berlin recently, he didn't give a clear yes or no on Taurus.
Apparently not. Instead, the focus shifted, or he referred to, a joint production agreement for long-range weapons, mentioning a memorandum the defense ministers would sign about buying long-range systems actually produced in Ukraine.
Interesting. So focusing more on future, jointly produced capabilities rather than sending existing German stock right now.
That seems to be the implication. A potential long-term plan, perhaps, but it doesn't directly answer the immediate request for missiles like Taurus.
Yeah, it just highlights how sensitive and, frankly, complicated these arms supply decisions are and how statements can be interpreted or misconstrued.
Absolutely. Very delicate.
Okay, so we've covered quite a bit of ground in this deep dive. We've looked at Russia's stated conditions for peace, the sort of uncertain prospects for any high-level meetings right now, and also these pretty tense reactions surrounding the whole long-range weapons debate.
Yeah, it's clear the path forward, if there is one towards resolution, is incredibly complex. The positions seem multifaceted and in some ways maybe even hardening. Keeping track of these core elements, the demands, the diplomatic possibilities, the military aid issues, it's really crucial to stay informed as this all continues to evolve.
Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We are here to make things clear. New episodes every day.